Welcome to the Old Man of Three with JJ Redick and Tommy Alter, brought to you by 342 Productions. This is episode 165. Victor Wembanyama. Tommy, just a phenomenal human.
Phenomenal.
Regardless of the basketball. I mean,
awesome dude.
Yeah, awesome dude. Thought he provided some really insightful stuff about his mindset, his makeup, his drive, all the things that motivate him. It's very rare that me as a soon-to-be 39-year-old learns a lot from a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
That's the level of wisdom this kid has.
What's crazy, his first ever podcast, as he said, us coming in, first ever podcast, first ever American press. He's done a couple of things in France. And he was just dropping gem after gem, not even basketball stuff.
I know. God, he's got it all. Draft is Thursday night. I will be doing the preview show Wednesday night, 7 to 8 on ESPN, and working the NBA draft on ESPN on Thursday. Tommy, I know we talked about, before we get to Vic, I know we talked about the Bradley Beal trade yesterday on the Old Man of the Three Things. I want to just rehash that a little bit because we are headed into the draft. We've had one major trade. There are tons of rumors swirling around trades with the draft, specifically with the second pick and the third pick. And then we have free agency to look forward to. Draymond Green opting out. I think the general expectation is that he re-signs with Golden State on a longer deal. But I wanted to talk real specifically about the Phoenix Suns post-Bradley Beal trade. So they now have the third best odds on DraftKings Sportsbook to win the championship next year. First is Denver. Second is Boston. They jumped from plus 850, so 8.5 to 1 odds, to plus 650, 6.5 to 1 odds, following the trade. I feel like that seems fair. The one team that I'm very curious about right now is the Lakers going into this offseason, because there are question marks about Austin Reeves, Hachimura. I think they have to bring those guys back. There's question marks about the point guard position. There's rumors of Draymond potentially going there. There's just a lot that can change over the next 10 to 14 days, and it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, their level of talent is undeniable with those 4 when you count Ayton.
Phoenix,
with Phoenix, with those 4. So it does definitely make sense. Assuming Ayton stays for now, do you feel, and we talked a little bit about this on Monday.
I'm going to make no assumption there.
Okay. I think that's fair and smart. But is there on July 1st, when they start, talking to different free agents or whatever it is there a specific, I don't want to say position because we talk about how NBA is positionless, but is there a specific role that needs to be filled right away that would sort of like solidify that spot?
With regards to Phoenix?
Yeah.
Look, I think DeAndre Ayton, being a young player, a guy who has produced, and it seems like, given what we know, what has been reported, what we've seen, seems like maybe there was a little bit of friction with Monty and DeAndre. I'm not exactly sure about the relationship between DeAndre and Chris and Book, or with Kevin or anything like that. But it seems like a change of scenery might be the best thing for DeAndre's career. Now, whether or not that means he's going to win a championship like he has the opportunity to in Phoenix, I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on a trade. I will say he's the one piece that could net you more rotation caliber players, because you're going to have enough scoring. I said this yesterday, but Ayton has shown that he can be a starting 5 on a top defense in the league. They've had, I think, 2 of the last 3 years, really, really elite defenses. So there's not a question mark there, but I do think, given their free agency situation, the priority for me would be figuring out a way to bring Torrey Craig back, who was particularly good in that first round series against the LA Clippers. Actually didn't play as much against Denver, but shot roughly 40%, provides that 3-and-D role. Because ultimately, that's where I think, besides the 5 position, look, Book's going to play on the ball a lot. Like he's shown that he can essentially be the de facto point guard. So that's the role that I think you need to fill. And there's no guarantee, given the limitations on what they can offer free agents. There's no guarantee that you can attract a serviceable 3-and-D guy with the vet minimum. So bringing back Torrey Craig seems like that would be the priority in some way, shape, or form.
Yep, it's gonna be fascinating to see how they fill out the rest of that group.
A couple other things. I just want to on the odds thing, and I just kind of because we've touched on this last week a little bit. The Pelicans now at plus 4,000, which they were much higher when we did this last week. I think the general consensus is that this Zion rumor mill that has been going on for like 10 days now, that might actually be a real thing. I don't know the inner workings of how fractured that relationship is with Griff and Zion, or Zion and the team, or whatever, but they're a team to watch. You brought up Dylan Brooks yesterday. I don't think he goes to Phoenix. I'd be shocked if he went anywhere for the vet minimum. The guy's
someone should pay him.
Legitimately, when you do what is a player worth based on all the advanced metrics and stuff, which is how a lot of teams who do the salary structures for these deals, that's ultimately what they're using. The agencies are using that as well. Dylan Brooks is like a $15 to $20 million a year guy. So don't be surprised if he ends up getting more than the mid-level. But I think his baseline, I'd be shocked if he didn't at least get the full mid-level. So the Grizz, they could be particularly active. I know there was a player that they offered a lot of first-round picks for at the deadline. So
a lot of first-round picks.
A lot of first-round picks. So they're a team that could be particularly active, and they're going to have an interesting start to the season. I think they'll be fine at that position because we know how good Tyus Jones is. The Heat are another one. And then the whole thing around Dame and where he should go, should he want out, whatever, until we know that Damian Lillard wants out of Portland, I just feel like we shouldn't speculate.
Should chill out.
Yeah.
I thought you said it in First Take, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago or something. You were talking about it. I thought it was very well said. And it's what he's told us on the show. He's kind of baffled at all of the Monday morning quarterbacking about it. It's like he's going to say if you want something, and until he says it, I don't know why we all need to psychoanalyze nothing. Basically,
well, you got to fill airtime. I
have one question, very quick answer before we move to Vic. We're taping this Tuesday around noon. Do you think Charlotte and Portland are picking for themselves on Thursday night?
Good question. I will say I will be surprised if they both pick for themselves, if that makes sense. Like if those top 3 picks go and the night ends and that's what it is, I'd be surprised. I'll just say
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code JJ. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code JJ. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Tennessee and Kansas, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. In West Virginia, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 and over in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Let's get to Victor Wembanyama. Again, for those of you that have been living under a rock over the last year or so, 7'5", generational talent, could do it all on the basketball floor. But again, the things that I think are the true separators in the NBA, the competitive stamina, the basketball intelligence, the ability to communicate, the emotional intelligence, all of that stuff. Holy shit. Victor has all of that. very excited to watch this young man's career blossom over the next decade plus. Let's get to our conversation with the presumptive number 1 pick in this year's NBA draft, Victor Wembanyama. All right, let's welcome in Victor Wembanyama. Victor, how are you right now? Like, what is going through your mind? Your season just ended. You arrived in New York yesterday. How are you feeling?
Things are going fast. I was a little bit jet lagged. I slept a lot last night. It's I'm just happy to be here, and I feel really lucky.
I want to go back to the night of the draft lottery on May 16th. Obviously, a lot of anticipation from a number of teams, and you were in France. My colleague Brian Windhurst happened to be around that night and got to talk to you a little bit. But there was a shot of you when it got announced that it was San Antonio, and from my perspective, it looked like genuine joy and sort of, I don't know if it was relief, but it was genuine joy. Why were you so excited about San Antonio in particular?
Oh yeah, truly, if I had to choose one franchise to get the number 1 pick, I would have chosen San Antonio. It's just, I know when I heard so much about the atmosphere and the culture over there, the winning culture, that this, if I had to choose, it would be a no-brainer.
So your season ended on Thursday. The Metropolitan season ended on Thursday. You played the entire season, you played every game. How have you been able to kind of compartmentalize and focus with all of the craziness, everything happening here, everything with the lottery and everything like that, and the fact that you're on a great team in a really, really competitive environment playing for a championship? How have you mentally sort of been able to juggle those two things?
I'm very young, but this year, before this year, I had never seen and lived with such responsibility inside of a team. It was like I had a big role with that team, and my coach trusted me a lot. And, playing basketball is my job. So until the very end of the season, I was 100% dedicated to playing basketball, rest, eat, sleep, practice. And when all this was done on a day, I could think about the rest, planning the trip to New York, what's coming next. And but yeah, it's playing basketball is my job. I'm dedicated.
You had played for a couple of different clubs prior to Mets 92, and it's not historically been a great club. You had, as you said, had a lot of responsibility. I think you led the league in points, rebounds, blocks. You guys were second in the regular season, played for the championship. And some of it, and I want you to sort of get into this, the why of everything, but some of it was set up so that you could get the experience of being the guy on a team, which not a lot of young players in Europe get that experience at the highest levels, at the ACB or, the Italian leagues, French league, whatever. But did you, as you set this up, could you have anticipated that this year would have gone as well as it did?
I think we've accomplished this year a lot that we wanted to accomplish prior to the year. And you talked about something like the young players and European prospects. In Europe, it's hard for them to know and to get to know this kind of responsibility I got this year, and to be able to lead and to push a team to the top, because it's so competitive. As you said, when a young players come and starts being part of a pro team, the team and the coach, they have to win or they get fired, So it's hard sometimes to put responsibility into the hands of young players. And when I came to Mets 92, it was kind of, what I was looking for, because I knew I could give a lot to a team. And as what happened this year, I knew this could happen, and I had to make a choice, and Mets 92 was by far the best choice for this.
I feel like going back to the first time I really saw you and heard about you was a few years ago. There was a viral video of you working out against Rudy Gobert. Yeah, who at the time was like the defensive player of the year, and you were giving him buckets. But I feel like in some ways, the 2 games in Vegas against the G League Ignite was the introduction of Victor Wembanyama to just the general basketball populace in the United States. And in watching those games, I'm thinking to myself, why doesn't this motherfucker just shut it down after this? Like, I'm fascinated. I really am, because look, there's been guys that have gone overseas. There's been guys that have gone the G League route, and it has been either a half-ass effort once they're kind of recognized as a top 3 to 5 pick. You were clearly, after those 2 games, it was like, all right, this guy's the number 1 pick, and you kept playing.
Yeah, I know a lot of prospects did that over the years, even this year, and but I'm not a quitter. As I told you, I had such responsibility with this team. I know these guys trusted me just like I trust them, and it just counts. It just matters for me. I can't quit. It's just not who I am.
I was going to say, is there a part of you, when coming into the league, people are going to say, can he stay healthy? Can he handle the physicality, things like that? Is a part of you played every single game this year, you played 70 games. Is there a part of you where that level of durability is just kind of showing anyone who might have something to say, like, oh yeah, not only can I do all these things, but I'm not missing time?
As long as I believe in myself, I know what I'm capable of. And as long as, my coach and my staff trust me, I don't got nothing to prove, I just want to win. And but it was also a challenge for my coaches and me and my agents, my family to complete a full year, being healthy when others weren't 100% of the time, and because it's a really tough league in France. What I'm saying is some people get injured, but I managed to I think we found the right recipe, to stay healthy and to stay competitive.
Very curious about that recipe, because I think the big question mark at your size for anyone is going to be the durability piece. And look, seen plenty of guys. Giannis is a great example, who came into the league and didn't have a huge build or anything like that, and you're just naturally going to put on weight and strength and all of that. But I have heard, and I've read this as well, but I've heard from people that know you, that you're very process oriented, you're very detail oriented, you're very routine oriented. What does all of that look like on a daily basis for you in terms of your preparation to play the game?
You talked about details. I often say, and I often look to not leave anything like random, not leave anything to chance, and control everything I can control about my body and my development. And this is something I really got better on in the past couple of years. And there's guys, like Giannis and stuff. But I think I'm different, because I gotta say, like, nobody or really few people are my size, and even fewer play like me, play the way I play, move the way I move. And so as I got an original like play style and height, so I gotta have an original routine, original process, original recipe, So it's really a thoughtful process. And it's like with my coach, Guillaume, I'm really close to him, and we were really good this year. It's like a huge part of thinking and thinking before, thinking how we can do better. And every day, my trainer, my coach, he like, when we practice, we probably do a new exercise every day.
Take me through a day. What is a day, non-game day? Let's say a non-game day. Take me to a non-game day. What does that look like for you?
Practice might be in the afternoon or in the morning, and we always do something before and after. And when we want to practice once a day, we do something before and after. When we want to practice twice, we probably do something before in the morning and something after in the afternoon. But it's always like warm up activation. Sometimes on the court, sometimes in the weight room, it's I wake up, I eat, I go to practice, weight room before or after. Then I go back home, I sleep. I do whatever I want to do, and then go back to it.
I've always wondered this: the 2-a-day practices in the middle of the season, because in the NBA, we don't practice anymore. You're in for a real treat, my guy. What is it? What is a 2-a-day practice? What does that look like in Europe?
It's when you play once a week, you get time to practice twice a day sometimes. But when you play when the games are a little closer to each other, it's once a day most of the time. But my coach, my coach this year, he wasn't the guy who wants to tire out players and stuff. He's a really mental guy, But twice a day, it's tough,
Live action, like 5-on-5 contact, both practices.
Yeah, we do that. But it's like a full day where you can't when you go home after the first practice, you can't spend 5 minutes on your phone or just you can't waste any time. You gotta shower, eat, and sleep. Wake up for practice, go back.
We used to. Teams really don't do it anymore. You're still allowed to have 2-a-days during training camp, but one of the practices can't be contact. Okay. So you'll do 5-on-0 or skill work or 2-on-0 pick and roll, stuff like that, right?
I would like in the playoffs we don't really practice. But I like to play every 2 or 3 days, and I like this format better than
it's so great. Being able to play every other day is awesome. But back in the day we would do 2-a-days and they'd have contact both days. And when I played for Stan Van Gundy in Orlando, when we had training camps, he would basically clear out the meal room and he would put cots in the meal room because the practices would be so long, and guys, you're same as you got your treatment, weight room, extra shots before or after practice. So you didn't really have time to go home, and guys would take naps in the cots. Okay. So that's the littlest taste I got of the 2-a-days. Yeah. And that was cool. I don't need that in my life. I don't need that in my life. Tractor drinks are certified organic, non-GMO, and made from sustainably sourced ingredients with no artificial ingredients, no phony colors, no mystery preservatives, or synthetic pesticides. They're the drinks with nothing to hide. And Tommy, I love transparency. Tractor proudly serves products that are certified organic, non-GMO, and made from sustainably sourced ingredients, so you're getting the good stuff, because I said it twice. Tractor is produced the way Mother Nature intended. Organic, real, no synthetic pesticides.
And Tractor has flavors for everyone, like berry patch, lemonade, strawberry dragon fruit, mandarin cardamom, unsweet tea, and mango, as well as organic sodas like root beer, cherry cream, cola, and coconut. Now you can complement the food you eat at your favorite restaurants with new choices in organic, flavor-forward drinks.
My family loves Tractor beverages because of the flavor options and the real clean ingredients. And sometimes we'll do a fun little flavor combo. You haven't lived until you've combined coconut and cola.
Tractor, organically farmed beverages. Find them at your favorite restaurant or go to drinktractor.com and find where Tractor is available near you.
We want to talk to you about Element, LMNT, a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt, no sugar. It contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio. 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, 60 milligrams magnesium, with none of the junk. No sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS.
Electrolytes facilitate hundreds of functions in the body, including the conduction of nerve impulses, hormonal regulation, nutrient absorption, and fluid balance. Element can help prevent and eliminate headaches, muscle cramps, fatigue, sleeplessness, and other common symptoms of electrolyte deficiency.
Tommy, I use this product all the time, especially when I'm traveling across the country for games or if I'm hungover. Right now, Element is offering a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 single-serving packets, free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com, JJ. Get yours at drinklmnt.com/JJ. This deal is only available through my link. You must go to drinklmnt.com/JJ. Element offers no questions asked refunds. Try it totally risk-free. If you don't like it, share it with a salty friend, and they will give you your money back, no questions asked. You have nothing to lose. I read that your father and your mother both were athletes, and I read that even from a young age, your dad taught you proper form for climbing stairs and proper form for running as a very young kid. Did you think that was weird at the time?
Yeah, sometimes I didn't really like understand why he was so like insisting on these points, but now I understand. Like now it's like crystal clear. You can, when you walk and when you go upstairs and you run the proper way, you take care of your muscles at all times without even noticing it. So you kind of practice every day, and this when players we start to get like older at the pro level and stuff, it really shows the difference who knows how to run and who doesn't.
So you learned some of your ball handling skills from a Pistol Pete cassette tape?
From my coach, but when I was 12 years old, he watched every basketball training tape on earth, and he was really into it.
That was 2011. I'm almost positive that those tapes were likely tapes, VHS tapes.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
he probably did watch.
The funny thing is, there was a movie. Pistol Pete had a biopic, right, about him, and he would do all the dribbling drills. He would dribble on train tracks. So I came across these VHS tapes and I would practice them. But that was like 1992. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe that people are still using that. But I think it's interesting because you are in a position, based on everything that, has been said about you, written about you, seen from you, you're in a position to be a generational player. And in my sort of current gig, I often have to compare players, and we talk about influences and we talk about role models. Kobe wanted to be Mike, and LeBron had to be better than Mike. But in some ways, you are going to, and you kind of already have, completely broken the mold of what a player is. I go back to something that was, I don't know if I saw it on Twitter or in an article, but it's like if people did a create a player on 2K, or like if you asked a 6-year-old to draw a sketch of a basketball player, right, they would look like you, and they would have all the skill sets you have. Do you feel pressure around that notion?
No, I don't feel any like pressure on my shoulders or what. And I think the reason is because I try to live free. I'm trying to be like a free mind at all times, and the way I play is just the way I truly want to play, and I've wanted to play my whole life. So it's just, this is me, and I'm trying to show my true personality on the court and just be myself.
So when someone says that you are the best prospect in a generation, the best prospect since LeBron, I believe one of my colleagues called you the best prospect ever in team sports. That just goes in one ear and out the other. There's no pressure from that.
Yeah, true. No pressure from that, because it's not like a reward when they say that,
Well, so that's very rare, especially for someone as young as you. Have you ever seen the movie Inception?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
The Christopher Nolan movie?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the central themes of this movie is that you need a totem, right? Yeah. And he takes the little spinny thing, which was his ex-wife's totem, takes it, and it's used to sort of gauge whether or not he's living in the dream world or living in reality. And we have seen this happen to a number of young athletes who lose, I think, a sense of reality, and they lose that grounding principle of their life. What is your totem?
What you just said about young players, this is something I've thought about a lot. And there's reasons to this, because I know I'm never gonna turn like this. Like, I know I'm never gonna lose a grasp of reality and just do some shit, because I know what I want. Like, I'm driven from the inside of my heart, and like nothing can put me out of my path. So I'm gonna make, like, I do everything I can, so I deserve what I get. And I think some players are really talented, physically or technically, really, really talented, but their mind isn't like as good as their body is. You know what I'm saying? So they get results, they get titles, they get they get drafted, whatever, But truly, they don't deserve what they get, if they fuck up afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. But going back to the totem thing, I don't want to harp on this, but going back to the totem thing, because I'm trying to understand this. Is it the game? Is it the competition? Is it this desire to win, to be great? Like you talked about this drive that you've had, right? You're, as long as you can remember. I mean, you knew as a kid you wanted to be a professional basketball player. Is that the totem? Like what is it about the game or the competition that you love?
It's my totem is it's something bigger than basketball. It's just life. It's just accomplishing yourself inside this universe. And I always got when I need motivation, when I need energy and I feel tired out, when I need a fight on the court and it's hard, I always remember I'm free in that universe. I do whatever I can and I know what I want to do and nothing's going to stop me from doing it. And I always got that in mind. And it doesn't just stop to basketball. It's about life.
Fuck, man. Jason.
Well said.
Jason. He's reached enlightenment.
No, man. I'm not sure I'm really understood because in French I know I can make myself understood, but in English sometimes I'm not.
No. You're understood. You're understood. It's very clear. It's very clear.
I wanted to ask you about growing up, just both the basketball competition in Le Chenet, but then also just even mentally when you started to reach this point, because you saying this, you haven't played a game in the NBA yet, but it's one of the more insightful things anyone has said on the show. We've done a lot of episodes. And so when you started to get that kind of self, measurement for yourself, because it takes people, sometimes their whole lives to reach that point. Like it doesn't happen at your age very often.
I don't know. I can't really give you an answer, but I know I've always tried to be different, than other kids and other players. So I don't know. It's just me. Maybe I'm the only one like this. I don't know, but
you talking about being free in the universe. Fuck, man. I wish I was free in the universe. I wish I was free in the universe. And I know you also love art, and I've also seen quotes from you where you talk about basketball as a way to sort of express yourself. There's a couple of things that have happened on the court over the last year that I want to specifically ask you about. One of which is the one-legged three. Why? Is it necessary? It doesn't seem necessary. You're so tall.
It's actually easier to shoot threes that way, I believe, because you use your momentum, so you don't got to put any force, so you can really focus on the target. But it's just something that doesn't happen often in the court, that situation, that movement. But so a couple of years back, I was training with Tim Martin, my coach, and I was doing that, and I was doing reps of this, and he was laughing it's because it's just funny to see someone practice this, and but it just feels natural to me, and I think when off the dribble, as an off the dribble move, it's a great move. I believe because and it's surprising to the defender. He doesn't, because you don't really got a gather. It's just you just go straight up, and it's just surprising to the defender. I mean, even for regular size players, you can't really defend that.
So basically, the genesis of that is you were fucking around one day, shooting one-legged threes, or you said you were fucking around. You're like, oh, that feels natural.
Yeah,
that feels natural.
Yeah.
Maybe I can use this, and you just started practicing. Yeah. It's incredible.
Did you have every game you played, basically, once they started putting it on NBA TV and NBA.com, it feels like there'd be at least one highlight that everybody here would go crazy for. Did you have one or two that you did where you were like, oh yeah, that was pretty wild after the fact?
Yeah, 100%. Let me tell you a story. One time, that was 3 years ago, I was in Nanterre. You know about Nanterre? My first pro team. And I had two teammates who were just discussing. I saw them laughing and looking at me, and then I go to them and they tell me, "Yeah, we just bet $1,000. I'm gonna give him $1,000 if one day in your career you ever shoot a 3, miss it, and put back dunk it." Like, and I actually did it this year. Like, I didn't try to do it. It's just it was just natural, you know. So right like a couple of days after the game, I call one of these teammates and I tell him, "Yeah, it happened." Like, and he goes like, "What? You don't remember? You just bet $1,000. You just won $1,000. You just bet with that teammate that I would do that ever in my career." It happened sooner than expected, but it happened. So yeah, this feels really special to me. This one play.
Did you text the guy?
No, I called him.
You called him? Did he Venmo? I don't know what they use in France, but did he send you the money?
No,
did you get the money?
It wasn't about the bet. Wasn't about me. It was just between them two.
Oh, it was between them two.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, fuck, man, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. That's not fair at all. Victor, I know that it's really interesting to me. First of all, past 5 MVPs have all been overseas players, and each of them have had a very unique journey, but the game is very international now. And we spoke yesterday with a player who, like Benedict Mathurin, in some ways similar to Luka, didn't do the normal high school experience and kind of just went to a prep school and sort of prepared. He's going to be on the Ignite next year. But the game is so international. I think in some ways, a generation of players like that grew up with me, we had very normal high school experiences. We went to high school, we practiced after school, we had games twice a week, then we played AAU, then we got a month off in the summer. And it seems like the next generation of players, it very much is, especially with European players, it's very much about being a pro early on. I don't know what a normal high school experience looks like anywhere right now. I know for me, it was like going to Applebee's with 4 guys and getting the unlimited chips and salsa on a Friday night for $4.99. You split that 5 ways, you got $1 dinner. It was great. I don't know what it looks like. Do you ever feel like you have missed out at all on a normal high school experience?
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder what it would have been like if I went to college, more college than high school, because high school basketball doesn't exist in France. It's like you play in a club or you don't play basketball. But sometimes I wonder what it would have been like. And I feel like I would have loved going to college, especially with high school too. But the truth is, in the world, there's better leagues for a player that age than high school and college. Some places are just better for development. But the thing is, it's so far away that for American players, is the better option to stay in the US and just stay in the high school and college course. But it's as you said, a lot of MVPs were foreigners lately, and lately. It just shows that it just shows that the chances are increasing for foreign players. But the best basketball players are still in the United States.
When's the last time you went to a class?
Wow. 2 years ago. I graduated high school, and this is the last time I went. Oh, actually, I had like an exam, like a national exam to pass, like 6 months ago, whatever. It's like a day with the military. So I went to class like six months ago.
That's pretty good. Who in the league did you, when you were the last couple of years, did you really particularly like to watch?
This year, in the playoffs, I really loved Jokic. He was the guy I watched the most. Embiid also. But in the past couple of years, it was more Giannis and KD a lot.
The concept of the selfless star, which, by the way, San Antonio had one of those in Tim Duncan, and they're rare, but in some ways, and I spoke with Luke about this when we were teammates in Dallas, like in some ways, a lot of them tend to be Europeans. Jokic is an example of that. Having played with Luka, Giannis is another example. I think Steph's like that. And increasingly, it feels like those are the guys that are the best player on the best teams. What do you think it is about the way you were raised, European culture? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to sort of understand this, like the disparity in culture in America versus overseas.
The game is so different that some stuff you can do in the States, you can't really do them in Europe. In most leagues, in the EuroLeague, in the Spanish or French league, if you play one-on-one all game, you're just gonna end up with, maybe you might score 25 points, but you're gonna end up with 7 turnovers and lose the game. But it's plus, as I've almost always been the youngest player, I've always had to to share the ball and to be truly a part of that team. But I truly believe that the way to become the best player on the best team is not only to score 20 or 30 points and to get 15 rebounds. It's also to make your teammates better.
Yeah, I think that's what the best players do. And a number of those guys. Look, there was a poll today that I was reading. I believe it was in The Athletic with a few writers. The reality is, Steph and LeBron, whether they win another championship or not, they are in the later stages of their career. And they have been the face of the NBA for roughly 10 plus years. Probably Steph since 15, LeBron for maybe a little longer, but then there was Kobe was sort of intermixed in there. And I think some of the characteristics of that, obviously winning at a high level, spectacular play on the court. But then the third piece is really the personality and sort of embracing being the guy, being the face. And look, there's nothing wrong with how Tim Duncan handled his career. There's nothing wrong with how Jokic is handling his career. Giannis comes to mind as someone who's really sort of embraced that. Have you thought at all about that aspect of your career? Not the on-court part, but just sort of embracing being one of or the face of the NBA and what that entails.
Yeah, it's not pressure, but it's responsibility. I think it brings responsibility towards the people you can influence. And I've had a really small glimpse of that when I arrived in New York. There was so many people around me, and I realized like they were asking for autographs and stuff. And I realized when you represent something to people, you gotta influence them positively. And I think I told you I don't like to leave things to random. And if I can influence people, I'm gonna try to influence them in a good way. And we in New York, Spider-Man said, "Great power brings great responsibility."
Yes,
right?
yes.
You can't just. I believe you got power like this. You gotta use it for good.
With great talent comes great responsibility.
You said hi to LeBron and AD briefly in Vegas, and you met Giannis, right, in Europe. Have you had much other experience with any guys in the league yet?
Like current players, like the stars? No, not really.
You've worked out with Tyrese, with Maxey?
Tyrese Maxey, yeah.
So he's is there anyone in particular you are excited to, just having grown up a fan, excited to play with, where you feel like you're going to get on the court with them and you might be like, oh, this is somebody I've been watching for a long time?
Yeah, I know it's going to feel really special when I play against the top guys that I've been watching for my whole life, especially LeBron. The day I play against LeBron is going to feel like so weird. The French guys is going to be special to play against them too, Rudy, for example. But no, other than that, no, I don't have anyone I'm really looking forward to play against.
The other thing I was going to ask when you're talking about the putback three, we talked to Luka about this and we talked to Steph about this.
Really?
Not about you, but just about shit they did in practice.
Okay.
Where they've done stuff, Luke especially, where it's like, JJ would see this. He would do stuff in practice that was like 10 times crazier than he ever did in a game, and nobody filmed it. Did you ever have anything like that where you did something that was like, oh my God, I wish these guys were here. I wish the camera crew was here?
One time, believe it or not, but I was 14. I was 14. And you know when the ball is stuck on the rim, like when you shoot and just sticks between the rim and the backboard.
The wedgie. The crotch shot.
Okay.
Crotch shot or wedgie.
Yeah, well, I was with a coach back then, and like the practice was over, so I was just fucking around and we were just laughing. We were laughing, and I jumped and I tried to kick the ball, to kick it with my foot, and I touched it with my foot. The ball between the backboard and the rim.
I'm trying to understand
and I was 14.
the physiological dynamics of that. Did you flip around, or you just have that much flexibility?
What do you mean flip around? What do you mean?
Well, it's 10 feet high.
Yeah.
So I would.
Oh,
if you're
no,
kicking,
no. Yeah.
If you're kicking, there's a little momentum there.
Yeah.
You just landed back down.
Yeah. This is gonna be on camera someday. I swear.
When you were younger, you played football and you played judo a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there any world where you feel like there was another sport you ever could have played professionally?
Yeah. You know, yeah. I especially like I really actually love to play football. I was a goalkeeper back then, but not only goalkeeper, I like to play every position. But yeah, I wish I could have played. You know, I wish I could have many careers in my life and just play other sports sometimes. But football, yeah, this is the sport I love most.
So, amidst the sort of whirlwind of the last, we'll call it year or two, your season just ending, arriving in New York yesterday, 2 days away from the draft. I don't know how much time you've really thought about Thursday night, but I'm assuming there's a high level of anticipation there. Have you thought at all about what that moment when you hear your name, when it's official, what that is sort of going to mean to you?
Yeah. You know, when you think about, when you dream and you think about something so precise for so many years, it almost feels real, and it feels like you can touch it. But so it's really so important to me, and it's gonna be the moment it happens, it's gonna be like a dream. Yeah.
I don't know what your status is for Summer League, but there's been some discourse and discussion in the NBA Twitter world about how many games you're going to play next year. And obviously, Tommy brought it up, didn't miss a game this season. I brought it up. A lot of guys would have shut it down after Vegas. And in some ways, you're going to the organization that invented load management.
Really?
Yeah, they pretty much did. I mean, they used to get in trouble. They used to get in trouble because they would have like back-to-backs and they'd get a TNT nationally televised game, and Pop would tell Manu and Tim to go back to San Antonio, and then they'd show up and Patty Mills would drop 38, you know? So have you sort of thought at all or had discussions with San Antonio just about like what the expectation is for availability?
I haven't talked about anything like this, but you know, I'm gonna play the most games. You know, I know most players, most important players, they rest like 5 to 10 games a year, maybe. I don't know. You know, I'm just glad to be here. I'm still curious to know how it works over there. Right now, I don't know anything, man. I don't know anything about how it works in the NBA. So I'm gonna stay humble and curious and just wait and learn as much as I can.
What are you most curious about in terms of how the NBA works, what the daily life is like? What are you kind of like, oh, that I don't know that. I'm very curious about that.
You know, how players are actually, like, there's so much, like, logistically, there's so much to take care about. To care about in like a team organization or how to take care of players and stuff. And I'm wondering how it all works together, like between the travels, the hotels, how to practice and stuff. But I'm still, one thing I wonder is how many players actually work by themselves, like during the year. because there's so many games. Maybe they rest every days between games. I don't know.
Yeah, typically, I mean, at least how I operated, how I think most guys operate. You like look for a true off day every now and then, but in season, a true off day oftentimes is doing all the stuff you're talking about that you do before and after practice. Like it might involve doing a lift or getting in the cold plunge or being on the training table for an hour getting treatment on whatever is, nagging at you. But there's you'll see 82 games is a lot and it moves very quickly. And so there's days like where you're like, you know what, maybe I don't touch a basketball today, but it's not like it's like twice a week that you're doing that. Even if you have 4 games that week, you're still going in and getting your extra shots up. Do you have a specific either, pre-game workout, post-practice workout, off-day workout on the court? And just in terms of like the skill, like the skill development piece, is there something that you're like consistent with in terms of what you're working on?
So I got like my warm-up routine, even though it evolves throughout the year. I got it and I know it by heart. But other than that, it's like most of the time I focus more on lifting, and being ready, being physically ready. And when I'm done, I practice whatever I need to practice. It just changes all the time.
Victor, I think this might be is not a question I wrote down, but it's I think this is probably my favorite question I could ask you today, 2 days before the draft. Because you talked about being free in the universe and you're coming into this draft and next season with expectations and pressure. What are your expectations of yourself for next year?
Obviously, as a competitor, I always want to win, but as I told you before, I don't know it all about the NBA. I don't know everything. I don't know anything. So I can't say I want to win the championship right now, even though I'm gonna be willing to win every game. But the true thing I wanna do ASAP is learn every day how to do it and how to actually win. Because I know players have tried to win the NBA for 15 years and haven't made it, haven't done it. And it's just I know it's gonna be hard. And so I want to learn as quick as possible.
Are there specific basketball, whether it's, maybe improving your 3-point percentage, are there specific things you want to attack this year that, once we get through all the craziness and all the hype and everything like that, and you get back just to basketball, that you think you're really going to focus on?
The one thing I really want to focus on is like being able to be intense the whole game. Because often this is about like through conditioning and stuff. I'm a get better at this, but I don't get tired. Like I get tired a little bit too quick, I think.
If you want, you can come to the Hamptons this summer and do some track workouts with me.
Yeah,
because that was my shit.
Really?
I was just had to be. It was for me to be good. I had to be
just running around
in insane shape. I had to be in insane shape. I'll put you on a program. Don't worry.
Got it.
Today's episode of The Old Man of the Three is brought to you by a product I use to start my day every day, Cometeer. With Cometeer, the world's best coffee comes from the freezer. That's because Cometeer makes delicious coffee that is flash frozen and delivered straight to you. Here's how it works. Cometeer sources high-quality beans from the country's best roasters, like Joe Coffee here in New York.
Simply add hot water and you've got a game-changing cup of coffee. And you can easily customize it in minutes for lattes, iced coffees, and more. Each cup of Cometeer you make at home will go toe-to-toe with your favorite coffee shop and packs way more flavor than machine-brewed coffee with no cleanup.
I've said this before, but I am a big coffee guy. I usually have 2 cups every morning and sometimes an afternoon cup like yesterday. And I was skeptical at first. You get this mini hockey puck of frozen coffee extract. I'd never seen anything like it before. There's no way this was going to compete with my fancy machine. But I added water, and wow, it was one of the best cups of coffee I've ever had in my life. No BS. You just need to taste it to believe it. Now I drink Cometeer every day. We even have a mini freezer here in the Old Man of the Three studio, so we love introducing this high-quality coffee to our guests. And now for our listeners, we've worked with Cometeer to put together a starter pack of my favorite roasts to help elevate your coffee game. Visit Cometeer.com/JJ to try them out. You'll also receive $20 off on your first 2 orders. That's COMETER.com/JJ for $20 off your first 2 orders when you join the future of coffee with Cometeer.
Before we wrap, I want to ask just about coming to the U.S. outside of basketball. You have a lot of interest. I want to get your Star Wars takes before we wrap. But just like, what else are you excited about? It's your first time in New York. What else are you excited about America? Are there particular cities, particular things that you just, as you are now going to be here for a year, that you feel like really just kind of curious about learning about?
Yeah. I've been in only a couple cities in the States, but there's plenty of like, this country is so diverse in terms of cities and nature and landscapes. So yeah, there's a whole lot of states I wanna visit, but this is gonna be in the off season. During the season, I guess you don't have too much time for yourself, to visit and stuff, right? But yeah, I'm actually I still need to discover New York. I haven't really had the time to go out.
Do you have any pause or trepidation, concern about being in a city like New York and being like, I'm Victor Wembanyama, I'm 7'5", and I'm going to go down the street to get a coffee? And are you concerned about people bothering you? And
yeah. I would like to, sometimes I would like to be like invisible because, I'm in New York. I've seen this city in movies my whole life, and I can't just go out, and get a coffee or whatever, or just go on Times Square. And but yeah, it's I'm lucky to be in that position than I am unlucky to not be able to just walk around, And it's it's okay. I know I'm gonna have the opportunity to visit.
Do you have like a happy place, like a you place outside of the gym?
Like specific place?
Yeah. Like it could be like
my parents' house. Parents' home. Yeah.
Would you say you have a favorite movie or show?
Yeah. Star Wars is my thing for sure. I know everything about
Do you have
Star
a ranking? Because this is going to be people are.
Sorry?
There's a lot of Star Wars fans. Do you have a top 3
movies
of Star Wars? Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, when I say Star Wars, I don't count the 3 last. Yeah.
The 3 last what?
Movies. I'd say as a 2000s kids, I'm more of a prequel fan, even though I love the original trilogy. But my favorite is Revenge of the Sith, and my second favorite's got to be Attack of the Clones, and I'd say The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, this is my top 3.
Solid list. Vic, wish you the best of luck on Thursday. Of course, probably not a lot of drama there. Gonna go on, and obviously we'll be following you, and can't wait to see you play in the NBA, man.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, man.
I also will say this one last thing. I'm excited to text you, Issa, in like a year from now, and be like, "What are Vic's 5 least favorite cities in the NBA?" Can't wait.